Hello, and today I'm going to show you how to make a stamp for knife making or woodworking out of a railroad spike. This is a really simple idea I had because I have a crap load of railroad spikes and they're really hard to forge into a knife if you don't have really good equipment. So I just had the simple idea of cutting off the end and making a stamp out of it. First thing you're going to want to do is pick your railroad spike. Make sure it doesn't have a chunk out of it like that. You're going to want it to be really straight so it will hammer straight down. So you're not going to want one that's bent. It doesn't really matter if it's rusted, it just depends on if you want to use a nice one or not. Once you've picked your railroad spike, just put it in a vise as firmly as possible. This one worked out where I could just lay it straight across, and then that's the part you're going to be cutting off right there. And easiest way to do that is with an angle grinder. This is an angle grinder. You can pick one up for about $15 used. This is probably my most used tool I have. It's a really good investment. Since they're not too expensive, I definitely recommend going and picking one up. But if you don't want to go spend some money, then go ahead and use a hacksaw or a file or whatever you have. Just however you can, cut the tip of that railroad spike off so you can have a flat surface to engrave into. Once you have the tip cut off, you're going to want to make sure it's as level as possible. I just took it to my belt sander and that evened it out really quickly. Just do this however is easiest for you. You can use a file. You just want to make sure it's really even. That's the biggest part of it. And this is what my railroad spike looked like once I took it off the belt sander. And you're just going to want to make sure that yours is flat and level. Okay, now making the actual stamp is the hardest part because you have to mirror everything that you're going to do. So first off, write what you want to be your stamp. So I wanted my initials VC, so that's what I did. I wrote that first, and then as you can see when you flip it over, it's backwards. So if you drew it that way on your stamp, when you actually stamped something, it would be backwards. So draw a little square around yours and then make another square, and then just completely mirror that first square. So that B is going to go up backwards in the top right corner instead of the top left, and the C is going to go backwards in the bottom left corner instead of the top right. You can see when you flip over the paper, you can see that the mirrored stamp is the one that's correct. So that's how you're going to want to engrave it on your railroad spike. Alright, now comes for the engraving. I'm not actually going to go into much detail in this video about how I actually do my method. You can click on that video right there or go to the link in the description, and you can watch my actual tutorial on how I engrave. But I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about engraving the railroad spike. You're going to want to take a Sharpie and draw an emblem or your initials or whatever you wanted to do, just like you did I showed in the previous clip. And then you're going to want to engrave everything around that. Leave the black there, so what you drew on Sharpie, that's what you're going to want to be standing out. So that will be raised above all the rest, and you're going to lower everything else around it. And it should look like this when you're done. And so you can see the BMC backwards there. It's a little bit hard to tell because it's not going to look super smooth and polished like before, but I usually have the front of the spike facing forward like you just saw, and then I just punch it into wood right here, not metal, and so that's what my stamp looks like. So it turned out pretty good, and the more times you make them, the better it'll get. Alright, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope it helped you out. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, just comment those below and I will definitely answer all of those. Make sure to rate and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I'll have a lot more coming out soon. Thanks.